I'm Dr. Ali Matu. Can blindness lead to real superpowers? Just like on Marvel's Daredevil? Let's find out on the PSYCH Show. Marvel's Daredevil is now streaming on Netflix and it is awesome! I love the character development, how it takes on real-world issues like human trafficking, domestic violence, and forced evictions, and all those little nods to New York City. So many tasty Thai restaurants in Hell's Kitchen. But my favorite thing about Daredevil is how it's based on real science. When Matt Murdock was a kid, he saved the life of an elderly man by pushing him out of the way of an oncoming vehicle. A vehicle that just so happened to be carrying a bunch of hazardous materials. And those hazardous materials spilled into his eyes, causing him to become permanently blind. Soon after, he learns his other senses have become heightened. Murdock can hear heartbeats, turning him into a human lie detector. He develops echolocation, basically dolphin sonar, to help him move around his environment. He can smell someone approaching from far away. Touch helps him to understand what an object looks like. And taste, well, I don't really know how he's using taste, but let's assume that that's heightened as well. So does that mean sriracha is his kryptonite? Do people who become blind really develop these kind of superpowers? To really answer that question, I first have to explain the psychology of vision. No, not that vision, the stuff that helps you see. The way you experience vision is pretty similar to how a camera works. Light comes into your eyes, is focused by a lens which projects it onto the retina on the back of your eye. My eyes need a little extra help to focus. The retina is a layer of photosensitive cells, including rods which pick up blacks and whites, and cones which pick up colors. People who are colorblind are missing some combination of these cones. The same thing happens on a camera. Light gets focused by this lens and shines onto a sensor right in the back. That's not the end of the story. You don't see an image on the back of your eye and you don't see one on the sensor. All that light information from your eyes travels down the optic nerve where it hits the optic chiasm. That's where information from both eyes gets combined into one place. Right next to the optic chiasm is where the superchiasmatic nucleus is located, otherwise known as your internal clock. Your internal clock bases all of its information on how much light is here in the optic chiasm. A lot of light means wake you up, not too much light means get you sleepy. This is why using screens at night is such a problem. You have a big tablet right there in your face, it's shining a lot of light into your optic chiasm, telling your internal clock to wake you up right when you want to be getting ready to go to bed. All that visual information leaves the optic chiasm and gets sent to the back of your head to the occipital lobe. This is where all that information about light gets processed and you finally understand what it is you're seeing. Ever hit the back of your head and end up seeing stars? This is why. The occipital lobe in the back of your head is where you actually see stuff. The same thing happens on your camera. Information from the sensor gets sent to a special chip that pieces it all together and ends up displaying it on the very back. Now there's lots of ways you can become blind, but most forms of blindness involve some type of damage to your eyes. But your eyes are only one small part of vision. Most of the magic happens in the back of your brain at the occipital lobe. What do these occipital lobes do now that they don't have any light to process? Your occipital lobe starts taking over other functions. This is my #1 favorite psychology fun fact of all time. The brain is plastic. Glass and metal can't change easily, but plastic can. Your brain works the same way, and brain plasticity allows it to respond and adapt to change. Hi, I'm occipital lobe. I'm supposed to process light, but right now I don't have any light to process. Can I help you process sound, temporal lobe? Or maybe touch, parietal lobe? This is why we treat lazy eye by putting a patch over the stronger eye. Your brain adapts and strengthens the lazy eye. London taxi drivers have been found to have a larger hippocampus, the area responsible for memory and navigation, because their brains have adapted to the complex task of navigating big cities. People who experience strokes regain some of their abilities because the brain adapts and repairs itself. This is why the myth that you only use part of your brain is complete crap. Not only are you constantly using 100% of your brain, but your brain is so efficient it doesn't let any area go unused. Getting back to Daredevil, people who become blind do have heightened senses, and the most studied of these senses is sound. But age makes a difference here. If you're born blind or develop blindness early on, you're much more likely to have fine-tuned sense of sound than someone who becomes blind as an adult. Remember the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your internal clock? Well, people with complete blindness often have unregulated sleep because their internal clock isn't getting any information about light. It has a hard time adjusting to this new situation of complete darkness. This gets back to brain plasticity. Some parts of your brain never really adapt, like the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Others can only adapt during certain windows of time. Lazy eye, not something you can treat in adulthood. And yet other regions always are able to adapt, like the back of your head and the occipital lobe. Will blindness ever lead to the superhuman powers we see on Daredevil? Well, not to that extreme, and this is probably because Matt Murdock had an encounter with all those hazardous materials. Maybe they supercharged his brain, much like other chemicals superpowered these guys. Want to experience Daredevil's power yourself? Put on a blindfold for at least 90 minutes. That's how much time it's been shown in the lab to begin experiencing some of this brain plasticity. And then start paying attention to the sounds around you. Your sense of hearing will be heightened. What do you think of Marvel's Daredevil? And what questions do you have about brain plasticity or vision? Let me know in the comments below. Click on my plastic brain to subscribe and get more psychology.